money out of your pocket, because with liabilities, you have expenses. And so that's just taking money out of your pocket. And that's really a contrast between the rich and the poor, because the poor just continues to get liabilities while the rich stacks up on those assets. Okay. And number 3 is the rich make money work for them. So it's not how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. So the rich dad is a frugal man who doesn't have a lot of material possessions. He keeps his money for generations, while the poor dad is out buying these liabilities that are not increasing his wealth, and he's actually struggling to pay his bills. Also, the rich minimizes taxes and uses the power of corporations. It's April. You're filing your taxes, and we all know that you can minimize your taxes by having an LLC or a corporation. And while people get upset about people who own businesses because they have all these tax breaks, but the tax code was written for people who create jobs. And so the rich, and then number 5 is the rich creates opportunities and takes risks. I say this all the time: scared money can't make no money. So basically they say, while poor and the middle class wait for luck and opportunity, the rich recognizes and creates opportunities, and they take those big risks. So you got to let go of the money and not be afraid to let go of the money. You have to open up your hand and release it in order for money to come in. And that's just that's the universal law of attraction. Number 6 is the rich learns management and communication skills. Communication skills, writing, speaking, negotiating, selling and marketing, being able to use those skills to go out into the market to create content or whatever it is, so that it could create those opportunities for you. And number 7, and the final one, is the rich align their habits and emotions. You need to overcome these 2 emotions, fear and greed. So the poor have the fear of losing money, and they don't, instead of, having their hands open so they can make money. And then there's also people who have arrogance and think that they're high and mighty, and they may have greed. So you want to overcome both of those emotions in order to align your habits to having a healthy mindset. And I just loved how she broke these 7 ways that you have a rich mindset. And I honestly believe that it's because I experienced a life of abundance at a very young age, from hanging out with the rich white people and seeing the access that they had to money. Their lives appeared easier and more enjoyable. I mean, I was out on yachts and taking boats over to the restaurant across the lake, and sneaking in the back doors of basketball games, and buying out bars, and all of the fun things. And then in contrast, in my household, it was contention and scarcity. There wasn't enough. We were always trying to make ends meet. And so we never just had enough. And I just started to think, like, if they can have it, surely we can have it. I wanted to know why we were living in a place of lack and not having enough. But it starts with a mindset. And so I'm so grateful and excited about the Black and brown people becoming more educated on finances and the tools for building generational wealth. But so this is what I've learned. And you can't be afraid to make money. You have to, get into that comfortable ability that there is some risk involved, but with no risk, there is no reward.
Say that. There was so much information, good, valuable gems that you gave in your share. Those 7 wealth mindset habits, those are amazing and eye-opening. I think the major one for me was the one where you said the rich don't work for money, the poor and the middle class, we work to make money, but the rich are making their money work for them, or the richer money is working for them. That's everything. Like that once you unlock that, that is truly powerful. You talked about at the end becoming more educated on finances and building generational wealth, and that's the key right there too. There was something else I wanted to mention real quick. I forgot. Is you talked about the emotion part, the 2 emotions to overcome the fear and the greed. I'm going to speak for myself, but for me, and I think for others like me, pushing past that fear is important, because like you said, scary money don't make money, and we have to push past that emotion in order to get into a different place. Like, how are we going to ever get out of poverty? How are we going to get out of that place of barely enough, just enough, if we don't push past that fear? And I think a lot of that is because we're in that survival mode. We're just trying to survive. We're trying to get by. We're trying to, get the things that we want, that we think is wealth or whatever. but we got to get past that in order to really see the gain. So I'm still in my amateur phase when it comes to investing and consciously building generational wealth. I was actually introduced at a young age to investing mainly through a mutual fund, but I wasn't educated about how things worked. So of course I ran through my money in about 5 to 6 years. Like I had access to all this money at the age of 18.
Wow.
Without the right education. Yeah, it was, I guess it was just, anyway, I wasn't set up for success, but it's okay. I could have been a millionaire, but now that I know better, I'm going to do better like Maya Angelou taught me. So I started off with Stash. Some of you may have heard of Stash. It's one of those apps that you can use to invest, bank, and save. And it's a good app for beginners, which I classify myself as. You can invest with unlimited trade. They don't have investment minimums. You can purchase fractional shares. This is important if you're just starting out like me and you may not be able to afford right now to buy a whole stock. Like if Apple stock is like $160 something a share, you don't have that, but you have $60 or whatever. You can purchase a fraction of that share and you can still be investing and earning money. So this was a perfect way for me to get started. And now I have my sights on using Ally Invest and Ameritrade for different reasons. And I've been researching the best brokers for stock trading. And these two were among the top according to NerdWallet. So I chose Ally because they have commission-free trades. They don't have an account minimum, and it's good for beginning and experienced investors. And they offer products that I'm interested in, like stocks, mutual funds, and ETFs. And they also offer Bitcoin futures. So if you've been hearing these different buzzwords, cryptocurrency and all that has been going around, and it's definitely something to get into, but some of us may be a little leery because you might have heard that it's kind of hostile. It's a hostile or risky investment.
Volatile.
But Bitcoin futures, volatile. What did I say?
I think you said hostile, but volatile.
Volatile. Thank you, friend. Bitcoin futures enable investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without having to hold the underlying cryptocurrency. So they're similar to a futures contract for a commodity or a stock index. It allows investors to speculate on the cryptocurrency's future price, and the futures are cash settled. So you need a Bitcoin wallet. So those are some benefits for investing in Bitcoin futures. And I got this information from Investopedia.com. And TD Ameritrade has the same offerings and more, plus an education component. And when I tell you, I'm a lifelong learner anyway, but I'm eating this education up. And so whoever's offering me, free education, especially for me right now until I get them coins up, I want to learn as much as I can. So that's a plus for me. And I have more to learn about trust and life insurance policies to build generational wealth for my children. And I know B has so much knowledge to share with us on that topic. So B, go on and spill the tea.
Girl. So friends, get your teacups, get your cups, because I'm about to pour this tea. Lord knows that knowledge is truly powerful, is power. I have been actively trading and investing in some form or another since about 2004, which is when I opened my first brokerage account with TD Ameritrade. Not to brag or anything, but I don't have a problem with manifesting money and lots of it. But however, I haven't mastered the keeping it on a large scale. So this year I'm really focusing on keeping the money that I manifest. And now my mindset is a legacy mindset. And so that's what I'm focusing on. So basically, a lot of our listeners, our girlfriends here, you guys are either working 9 to 5s, but as you work your 9 to 5s and you begin to think about how can you start investing and creating a legacy, I recommend getting a side hustle. I mean, I sold real estate. I had Airbnbs. I was investing in cryptocurrency, in the markets. I was always, just like I said in the beginning, I was always a hustler. I was always selling. I was always trying to make money. You invest in yourself and create a side hustle. And that 9 to 5 money can be money that you still use for your expenses, but the money that you get from your side hustle, whether you start selling something online with e-commerce or making products or whatever, you use that money to then start investing in the market. Do what you feel comfortable with, And also, I do not believe in keeping money in traditional savings and checking accounts other than the money that you need for your expenses and in your emergency fund, because basically your money is literally decaying away inside of a bank. And so if you can put that money inside in the market or you invest a little bit more on a Roth IRA or your 401k, and get that money out of traditional banks and start investing it so that your money is your soldiers. So you want to deploy them out to start doing your bidding when you're asleep. They make money for you in your sleep, and you'll start seeing it as you start getting more education about these things and getting more comfortable with investing and so forth. So I have a TD Ameritrade account that I use to make trades in the stock market, EFTs, options. And I love TD Ameritrade because it also has educational resources where free, you can learn about trading. There's a mock account that you can use, and it lets you try out your strategies that you're learning. And you can start off as little as $100, $500 and build from there. And I also, what I do is when I'm trading stocks is I look to invest in dividend paying stocks such as AT&T, Pfizer, OKE, APTO, just to name a few. And what these do is that you not only get to buy the stock, but you also get to make a dividend share. So say that they make so much off of, they pay a dividend of 3%. So each quarter you'll get 3% of whatever they made over. And so it's a really good way to reinvest in more stock. And recently the game in investing has really started to get really interesting. I recently invested in an independent artist, which I get to basically a percentage of revenue from streams and plays. So if it's played on Spotify or Apple Music, I get a portion of that, which I thought was really, really cool because you can get really, you can get really creative in creating these streams of income. And so, so I love that part. And so now I want to talk a little bit about what I call God's money. Okay. And it's called God's money. And Melanie hit on it. Mel hit on it earlier, cryptocurrency. And I've been screaming and preaching about Bitcoin and crypto for the past 6 or 7 years. I've been trying to get people in, and they was like, oh my God, it's going to, the risk. And I get it. People holding on to their money. They can't open their money so the money can come in. I get that. I did really well when the Bitcoin shot up to about 70K a coin. Those are really great times. And ever since then, I've been a true believer in cryptocurrency. I've invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Venetian coin, Binance, Doge, Shibu, Inu, ADA, Solano, and there's so many more others that's out there. But I totally encourage you to look up about cryptocurrency. And the reason why I call it God's money, because no one can stop it. It's basically code, and it's basically decentralized, and these assets are growing so quickly. You can also you can also borrow against your crypto assets with DeFi now and ditch, regular banks, because you don't have to go through the underwriting parts that banks make you go through if you want to buy a house or a car or whatever. But if you have these cryptocurrency assets, you can borrow against them. And there's basically endless possibilities with crypto. And yes, these are risky investments. So invest what you can and what you can afford to lose. But it is risky. But, again, without risk, there is no reward. It's not too late for you to get in. This is a game changer, y'all, an absolute game changer. And I read an article recently, and this lady that they called the Crypto Mom explained in a recent CNBC article, the series that they do, the next generation in investing. And so this mom, she basically quit her job to focus on crypto full time and build generational wealth. And she is an African American woman, and she is breaking down barriers. And now she makes around $80,000 per month. And to quote her, she said, NFTs and DeFi are breaking down generational curses of poverty. I mean, y'all, this is changing the game because no one can stop. No, you can't invest in it if you're not making $1 million or a accredited investor. Anybody can get in this. You can get you a Coinbase account, you can get a CoinX account and go on and research and the internet. It's not stopping anybody. So that's basically basically, I love what she said, that she is using cryptocurrency to break down generational curses of poverty. And that is, I'm obsessed with cryptocurrency. But next, I'm focusing on land in the States as well as international real estate, because after the pandemic passes, we know that people are going to be traveling like crazy. I want to get into that as I've traveled and see how real estate is doing in other countries. But here are some amazing resources of knowledge that I follow, and I'll put their IG handles in the descriptions so that you guys can follow them as well. And basically, I follow Earn Your Leisure, two Black brothers that is breaking down the game and just offering so much knowledge. Chris Johnson of the Wealth Squad,